All right, let's take a look at these examples. The first one is example number 1. It says graph and reflect the pre-image triangle ABC in the, and here's important right here, the x-axis. So we are going to plot these points, connect them to make a triangle, and then reflect it over the x-axis. So here we go. The first one is A at 5, 0. So put point A. B is at positive 3, negative 1. And C is at positive 4, negative 3. When you're done plotting the points, connect them to form a line. Okay, let's take these points and reflect them over the x-axis. Let's start with B. A's can be a little tricky. How far is B away from the x-axis? It's 1 block. So that means I go on the other side of the x-axis, 1 block, and I put B prime. If it helps and you want to, go ahead and, dot the x-axis just to kind of cement that in your mind that that is the line that we are reflecting over. All right, how far is C away from the x-axis? It's 3, so I'm going to then go 1, 2, 3 in the other direction and put C prime. And how far is A away from the x-axis? 0, yeah, so you can't, when you reflect it, you get the same exact point that we call A prime. And when you're done, connect the dots. So again, the pre-image and the image should look exactly the same. They are just reflections of each other. All right? Questions? Good. Let's go on to example 2. Same thing, except now we are reflecting in the y-axis. So again, if it helps to highlight the y-axis, that's the one we're reflecting everything over. And let's plot these points. -5, -1. That's A. -4, -3. That's B. And +1, +1. By the way, A should be, sorry, -5, +1. A should be up here. My apologies. And C is over here. Connect the dots. All right. So to reflect it in the y-axis, let's see here. A is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away from the y-axis. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the other direction to get A prime. Count for B. B is 1, 2, 3, 4 away from the y-axis. So go 1, 2, 3, 4 for B prime. And C is 1 away from the y-axis, so go 1 in the other direction, and we get C prime. Unfortunately, sometimes what happens is, and you'll see it here in this case, is the image and the pre-image overlap. Okay. So it's not, it just happens. Yeah, not a big deal. All right, some common rules. Let's take a look. I just want to go back up to these examples real quick here. And you don't have to write these. I just want to see where we get our rules from. A, 5, 0. B is at 3, negative 1. C is at 4, negative 3. And if I look at A prime, that stayed the same. If I look at B prime, it's out at 3, 1. And if I look at C prime, it's at 4, 3. And again, this is back up at example 1. So what I want to do is I want to come up with a little bit of a rule. Now that was straightforward, that wasn't too bad, but there's a rule that some of you might actually like. Take a look at the coordinates. And what do you notice about the before and after coordinates? I can see that. But take a look at these coordinates. Look at the x's, look at the y's. What changed or what stayed the same? Yeah, so, but look at, what do you notice about the x coordinates? They're exactly the same. The y coordinates just change from negative to positive or positive to negative. So the rule that you're going to write down here at the bottom of this page here is for a reflection in the x-axis, the rule is that the x coordinate stays the same and the y coordinate is just the opposite. If you reflect it in the y-axis, we won't walk through that example, but it's the same effect. It's the x coordinate that's the opposite, and the y coordinate stays the same. Now, reflecting in the lines y equals x and y equals negative x can be challenging. We could, I've done it before, I just think for today we'd better just jump right into the rule. But you can actually draw the line y equals x, pick a point, and see what happens. Here it is though, ready? When you reflect in the line y equals x, the rule is that the x and y coordinates just change location. So they just switch places. So the x moves to the y slot, the y moves to the x slot. In the line y equals negative x, not only do they move, but they both get changed. So they switch, and then we do the opposite. Okay? So let's go ahead and do it. So here we go. Parallelogram. A, B, C, D is reflected over the line. Y equals negative x. Graph the pre-image and the image and label the coordinates. Now, one thing I'll do oftentimes Gentlemen. So all I did was I listed out the coordinates vertically. I just think it makes it, in my mind, it does, makes it easy to see where they change to rather than leaving them up here in the problem. All right. So I'm going to use the rule first, then we will graph everything to make sure that everything looks good. So here we go. Ready? When we reflected over the line y equals negative x, the x and y coordinates swap places, and then you need to change the negatives to positives and positives to negative. So here we go. Ready? The -2 and the 4 would switch, and then the 4 would become negative, but the 2 would become positive. So they switch and change. So can someone tell me what B prime would be? Huh? Perfect. -2, 3. Can someone tell me what C prime would be? Anthony? It'd be -3, not +1, but -1. Yep. Yeah, they switch and then they both change. Yep. And then how about someone for D? D prime. Ryan? Good. -5, -2. So let's plot the before. Let's plot the after and see if it does look like a reflection over the line y equals -x. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and plot the line y equals -x. Maybe once I get my colors straightened out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's up here. So that line equals y equals -x is that line right there. So let's plot. -2, 4 is A. -3, 2 is B. 1, 3 is C. And 2, 5 is D. I'll give you guys a minute to catch up, make sure that you're all set. So if we think about this now, those 3 points, A, D, and C, are above and to the right of the line. When we reflect them over, those should be underneath the line, down to the left. B is a little lower and to the left. It should flip over and become up and to the right. So let's do this in a different color. Let's do it in blue. So here we go. A prime, -4, 2. B, -3. Sorry, -4, 2. -2, 3. That's B prime. C prime, -3, -1. And -5, -2 for D prime. Questions? All right, I'm going to have you try example number 4. I'm going to pause this video.